Hello students, once again I am back with your next poem, that is 9 Gold Medals. The poem 9 Gold Medals has been composed by David Roth, who is a rock vocalist, songwriter, actor and author, who was born in 1954 and now he is a successful solo artist. If I start talking about the poem 9 Gold Medals, I would like to tell you people that 9 Gold Medals is one of the most popular inspirational poem by David Roth. This poem underlines the idea of empathy and human values. Means one need to be empathetic to show human values, like one need to put oneself into another's shoes to know, to realize his condition. The poem gives us a message that in the life of a human being, what matters more is the sense of sharing, is the sense of understanding the pain and the sorrow, and realizing the situation which the other person might be experiencing. Human beings can show human values by knowing the pain and the suffering which the other person is enduring, and after knowing the pain of others, human beings need to cheer up the other person. Human beings should encourage the weak people. Human beings should help the fallen people. This is what the poem 9 Gold Medal depicts. This poem depicts an imaginary situation to prove the point of David Roth. This poem presents an imaginary situation of a race which was meant for differently abled athletes in the Special Olympics. So all these athletes, they have come from various countries to participate in various sports events which were to be held there. These participants, these athletes, they have all put in lots of hard work. They have all made up their mind. They were determined to win medals. The poem shows that this race was the last event of the Olympic Games, and the event was 100 meters race. So this poem tells us like the 100-meter race was about to begin. 9 athletes, they were standing at the starting point, and they were about to begin their race. They were eagerly waiting for the signal to be given. And once when the signal is given, all the 9 athletes, they begin to run as fast as they can. But unfortunately, the youngest one, like one of them, who was the youngest one, he stumbles and he falls down on the ground, and he gives a loud cry of anguish and pain. All of a sudden, something strange, something unusual, something unexpected happened there. And that was all the other 8 athletes. They turned back to see what had happened to their fellow contestant. And on seeing this fellow contestant fallen on the ground, instead of continuing their race, these 8 fellow contestants, they stopped, came back, and held this fellow contestant and made him stand up. And after making him stand up, all of them, they joined their hands and walked hand in hand towards the finishing line. The audience present in the stadium, they were stunned to see such a spectacle. Like they had never expected such a spectacle. So they all started clapping, they all started cheering, and all these 9 athletes, when together they reached the finishing line, all of them, they were awarded a medal. So all of them were declared winner. And this is how the Special Olympic became really special. So this was a Special Olympic which was, that was organized for differently abled people. So these differently abled people, they give us a message that we also need to be sympathetic, we also need to be empathetic, we should know the situation of other people, we should realize what the other person is undergoing, and we should try to help others rather than criticizing and rather than pulling each other's legs. What we need to do is we need to understand each other, we need to help each other. This is true sportsmanship. which we all need to show. So children, let us begin the paraphrasing or line-wise explanation of the poem Nine Gold Medals. The athletes had come from so many countries to run for the gold, for the silver and bronze. Many weeks and months in training, all building up to the games. So the poet says that the athletes had come from so many countries. So these athletes, they have come from so many countries, they have come from different countries to participate in the Olympics, in the Special Olympics, which were organized for the differently abled people, to run for the gold, for the silver and bronze. And these contestants, these athletes, they have come from different countries in order to run for gold, means in order to run to win a gold medal or a silver medal or a bronze medal. Like they all were prepared, they had all worked hard to win a medal. Many weeks and months in training, all building up to the game. So these athletes who have come from different countries, they have spent weeks and months in training, like they have spent weeks and months in training hard in order to win a medal. All building up to the games. Building means preparing. All preparing up for the games. So these all athletes from various countries, they have come to this place in order to win a medal. And these athletes, they have spent lots of time, they have put in lots of hard work in order to win a medal. All round the field, spectators were gathered, cheering on all the young women and men. Then the final event of the day was approaching, the last race about to begin. So all around the field in the stadium, spectators means the people who have come to watch the event, were gathered all over the stadium. These spectators, they were gathered, cheering on all the young women and men. And these spectators, what they were doing, they were cheering, they were encouraging all the young women and men. They were encouraging all the athletes, all the young athletes who were women as well as men, like there were women as well as men who were participating in these events. And the spectators have gathered all around the stadium and all were shouting and cheering these athletes. Then the final event of the day was approaching, the last race about to begin. These people, they were cheering the athletes, and now the final event, the last event of the day was approaching. It has come near, the final event, and the last race about to begin. The last race of the day, the last race of the event was about to begin. The loudspeakers called out the names of the runners, the 100 meters, the race to be run. And 9 young athletes stood there determined and poised for the sound of the gun. The loudspeakers called out the names of the runners. The announcement was made to call out the names of the runners. Like all the participants who were to participate in this 100-meter race, the names of the participants were called. The 100 meters, the race to be run. So all the participants who were to participate in this 100 meters race, the names of the participants were announced. And 9 young athletes stood there determined and poised for the sound of the gun. So now when the announcements were made, when the names of the contestants, the names of the participants of this 100-meter race were called out, 9 young athletes stood there determined. So 9 young athletes, they came and they stood at the starting line and they all were determined. They all were prepared. Determined means prepared and poised for the sound of the gun. And these athletes, they poised, they balanced themselves, like they arranged themselves and they waited for the signal of the gun. They waited for the shout of the sound of the gun, means they waited for the signal of the gun to be given so that they can begin their race. The signal was given. The pistol exploded. and so did the runners on hearing the sound. But the youngest among them stumbled and staggered, and he fell on his knees to the ground. So once the signal was given, all the 9 contestants, they were standing at the starting line, eagerly waiting for the signal to be given. And as soon as the signal was given, the pistol exploded and exploded. I mean, when this pistol burst out, the sound of the pistol bursted out when a loud noise was made and a signal was given that now the athletes, they can begin their race. So did the runners on hearing the sound. And these runners, these athletes who were standing at the starting point, on hearing the sound, they started running. As soon as the signal of the pistol was given, these 9 athletes, on hearing the sound of the pistol, they started running the race. But the youngest among them stumbled and staggered. Stumbled means tripped, staggered means he lost his balance. So the youngest among these participants, the youngest among these 9 participants, he tripped and he just lost his balance and fell on his knees to the ground. And this athlete, the youngest one, he tripped and he fell down on the track, he fell down on the ground. He gave out a cry of frustration and anguish. His dreams and his efforts dashed in the dirt. But as sure as I'm standing here telling the story, now it's a strange one, but here's what occurred. So the poet says that he gave out a cry of frustration and anguish. So this youngest athlete, when he fell down on the track, what did he do? He gave out a cry of frustration, like he was frustrated, he was now hopeless, and anguish and pain. He felt that pain. So he gave out a loud cry of hopelessness and pain. His dreams and his efforts dashed in the dirt. Why did he give out a cry of pain? Because all his dreams and all his efforts, all the preparations which this athlete had made, all were dashed in the dirt, like all were now going to mix in the dirt. All his hard work which he has put in to win a medal, that hard work is going to be in vain now. And that is what made this youngest athlete give out a cry of anguish. But as sure as I'm standing here telling the story, the poet says that, but as I'm sure here and I'm sharing this story with you people, now it's a strange one. Now I am going to tell you a strange story. But here's what occurred. I'm going to tell you something strange. I'm going to tell you something unexpected, something unusual. But here's what occurred. This is what I'm going to tell you. This is what happened. What occurred means what happened. This is what I'm going to tell you. The 8 other athletes stopped in their tracks, the ones who had trained for a long to compete. One by one, they turned around and came back to help him and lifted the lad to his feet. So what happened now? Once this youngest athlete, he fell down on the ground. The 8 other athletes, the other 8 athletes who were his fellow contestants, they stopped in their tracks. All of them, all the 8 of them, they did not run now. They stopped where they were. They stopped in their own tracks. The ones who had trained for so long to compete, the ones here refers to the participants. The participants who had trained themselves so long to compete, to fight for this race, to participate in this race. One by one, they turned round and came back to help him. These participants who had worked hard, who had put in lots of efforts, who had put in their sweat and blood in preparing for this race, all of them who were determined to win this race, all of them, one by one, they turned back and came back to help this fellow contestant of theirs and lifted the lad to his feet. And all of them, they lifted this lad means boy. All of them lifted this boy to his feet. All of them made him stand on his feet. Then all 9 runners joined hands and continued. The 100 meters reduced to a walk. and the banner above that said Special Olympics could not have been nearer the mark. The poet says that then all 9 runners joined hands and continued. So after returning back and helping this fallen athlete, all the 9 contestants, all 9 runners joined hands. All of them, they joined their hands and then they continued the race. The 100 meters reduced to a walk. This 100 meters race, it was reduced merely to a walk. And the banner above that said Special Olympics could not have been nearer the mark. And when these 9 contestants together, hand in hand, they walked towards the finishing line, the poet says, the banner above, banner is that plate or that cloth which signifies or which announces, which advertises the event. That banner above said Special Olympics. So that advertisement board which was declaring, which was telling Special Olympics could not have been nearer the mark. That really proved to be true to words. This Olympic race was truly special. The banner which was showing the event, the banner which was advertising the event, Special Olympics, that banner nearly proved to the mark, means it proved to the words which were written on the banner. That's how the race ended. With 9 gold medals, they came to the finish line holding hands still, and the banner above and 9 smiling faces said more than these words ever will, said more than these words ever will. So that's how the race ended. This is how this 100 meters race ended. This is how the race came to an end with 9 gold medals. So all the 9 contestants, they reached the finishing line together, and all the 9 of them, they were awarded the gold medal. Each one of them was given a gold medal. They came to the finish line holding hands still. So all these 9 contestants, they reached the finishing line holding each other's hands. The banner above and 9 smiling faces said more than these words ever will. So the banner which was hanging above, the banner which was advertising the event, Special Olympics, that banner above and the smiling faces of these 9 contestants, these smiling faces as well as the banner, it said more than these words ever will. It expressed more than what words would ever say. Like no words would say what the 9 faces they were expressing, they were saying. So this is like these 8 contestants, they felt empathy for the fallen participant. They felt empathy for the fellow contestant. They felt like what they would have felt if they would have fallen. And that is why they all turned back and they came and made him get up, and then holding each other's hands, 9 of them, they ran the race together, finished it and won the gold medal. So this tells us about the Special Olympics for the specially differently abled people, and this gives us a message that we need to be empathetic in this world. If we really want to prove human values, we all need to be empathetic.